This island looks extremely unimportant, but it isn't. Hey guys, it's Adam here, and today we're looking at a new island called Princess Royale Island. And Princess Royale Island is a huge island, like very huge, you could see. It surrounds it's actually kind of hard to find where it is because this is actually kind of like a river, but not really. There's a ton of lakes here. And there was two technical kind of there's two kind of abandoned settlements that we now use as actual settlements. There's Port Belmont and Beautydale. Beautydale is more known, and you could actually see what it looks like, kind of, on a map. And you could actually see this on here. We'll show you. As you can see, that's what it looks like over there. And it is completely uninhabited and abandoned, but we now use it. So it is a very important place, and it's actually right next to this huge lake, Beautydale Lake. And there's a ton of lakes here too. Port Belmont, you could barely see, and there's some bridges you could see here, and there's some floating pieces of wood actually. And there's a tiny dirt road right here, but it's not really that important. Also, there's some sort of ship or something here. You can see that there's many scattered pieces. It's kind of just very abandoned. Deer Lake and Bear Lake is very important also. Bear Lake is a huge area, and we actually have a settlement right here, right along here. It's just that it's not shown. Because I don't know why, but this is kind of like a valley. Wait, was this here? Okay. So, yeah. It's pretty cool. And so, yeah, you could actually see around Princess Royale Island. Now, there's Sarah Island, Princess Royale. I don't know which one's which, but they're all pretty similar. So, either it's this one or this one. I'm not sure. And there's tons of mountains, too. On the north side of Princess Royale Island, there's a ton of mountains you could see. And let's now look at the climate. The climate is extremely nice. It gets into sometimes even the 90s. And there's almost no frost days from May to September. Here's what it's like. It's even actually a little warm. It could get pretty warm in even January. January has a mean daily maximum of 38. Hot days are 47. Mean daily minimum is 30. And cold nights could get down to 6 degrees. And then it continues on. And eventually you actually get really warm. And these are the swimming kind of times. People can swim in the ocean. And currently, it might actually be okay water. It might be. But I'm not sure. Current weather. I don't really see anything where it says anything. But it's okay, I think. Temperature felt. Not sure where it is. But you could see, this is kind of what it's like. If you get into the 40s, you could see in the winter. It's actually not really winter there, it's March. So the average temperature for March is actually... hot days could get to 57. Yeah, so it's pretty warm. It could get pretty warm already. So it's a very, very nice place. Now we're below average current. Well, no, we're actually pretty much above average or average. And so there's not even frost days in January. You could see there's not that much frost days, which is pretty surprising. Now surrounding it is pretty interesting. Every island. There it is. So around it, there's actually some really warm temperatures, I think. Three, two, one. Okay. You can see there's even warmer temperatures in this place over here. It could get to 90, you could see, in July. There is some days that are really warm, and there's almost no frost days. This is Discovery Island, but this is pretty close to it. There's almost no frost days at all. And thank you. Very nice. Now, if you compare this to, let's just compare this to Dubai. If you compare this to Dubai, it is very disappointing. It's incredibly warm in Dubai. You get to 118 hot days. Very warm there. Or if you look at this, okay, here's a place. This is one of the sunniest days. There's almost no precipitation at all. It's still warm though. Actually, it could get to 32. So technically it's not that cold. Anyway, you could see that there's a ton of little hills too. Just 1 second, actually. Sorry about that. I was having some meatball. Okay, anyway. And other than that, it's surrounded by very active areas. It's completely surrounded by Canada. But there's actually tiny islands. Now you might be thinking, what the heck would we have tiny islands for? It's fun to explore, first of all. Second of all, it's very cool. Like, Cogar Lake is actually one of the biggest lakes here, actually. No, it's not. There's a ton of lakes. Anchor Lake, Bear Lake, Deer Lake, Waterfall Lake. Ashdown Island is a very... Oh, wow, what is this? Kale Bay 8. Is this part of Princess Royale? I'm pretty sure this is part of Princess Royale. So why is this here? KS7. The reason why, these are Inuit-owned places, right on the border right here. So we agreed with these little Indian tribes that they would own this half of the land and a little bit up north, and then we would own the rest. So you could see, though, there's little tiny lakes everywhere, and it's so cool. That's why you should go to. That's why you should also go to Anakatan. I mean, not to Anakatan, to Princess Royale Island. It's just such a cool island to explore. Now there's tons of places. Like, let's just say there was an emergency, okay? You could easily, it's not isolated at all. You could easily just go down the stream and go to Chem2, which is an unincorporated community, but has a ton of stuff there. There's a general store, there's even a sleeping place, and there's actually Cone Island right here that sometimes we use, but it's still completely uninhabited. I don't know why they didn't use it. Just that there's so many islands. Oh no. Okay. So, yeah, that's kind of why it's important. And also, lakes make a great water supply. And in the winter, it's perfect because these little hills you could ski down. And so that's kind of why it's important. And there's also fertile valleys also, and there's little green areas that are just completely flat. Now, it's also surrounded by big islands too. Gill Island. These islands are all important. It's also surrounded by all these islands. So, if you think Swindle Island is part of Princess Royale, think again. There's a tiny river that separates it. Now, Brew Island is a little interesting. It's kind of hilly. It's kind of like a mountain. So it's kind of hard to get onto there. And so we don't use it for really anything. And this is one of our most famous mountains that people ski at. This mountain, we haven't named it yet, but we're going to name it. And yeah, that's pretty much why it's important. It's actually important for many reasons, and so that's why you should actually maybe even live in Princess Royale Island. I mean, you could see very, very fertile. And actually, there's tiny islands too. So let's just say kids are there, right? And if kids are there, maybe they like to go to different tiny islands. And if they like to explore, they could go to all these tiny islands that are surrounding lakes. Like you could see, we can find like 50 of them right now. Island right there, only maybe 20. Probably like 100 feet across. Very small islands, but very cool. I'm not sure if that's a part, or wait, no. Yeah, that's a really cool place. There's a ton of abandoned stuff here also. Wow, okay, that's weird. There's a ton of things that make Princess Royale Island so special. And you can see all the hills, you could see perfect temperatures, except in the winter a little bit, but perfect temperatures. We have Mount Perry. That's one that we named. But I mean that not we named that, somebody else has named. But our other island, I'm not sure what it's called. I mean, not the other island, whatever. Anyway, guys, that was why Princess Royale Island is so important. And yeah.